What do you do when life's romantic entanglements leave you undone, challenging your sense of identity and resilience? On this episode of Lifejacked, the Resilience Podcast, I have a special guest, Phillip Quinones, whose journey through personal setbacks has set an inspiring example for all who struggle with life's unpredictable relationships. Raised by his devoted and selfless mother, Lydia, Phillip embarked on a path molded by sacrifice and strength. He holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from Georgia State University and a master's in clinical counseling psychology from Brno University. Phillip is not only a therapist, but also the visionary behind PQ Coaching and Consulting, where he supports individuals and couples in their personal and relational growth. Listen and enjoy as Phillip shares his story, which is one of grace, coping, and self-discovery.
Sometimes life gives us lemons. Sometimes it gives us lemonade. Other times it gives us something entirely out of left field that makes us say, WTF. But no matter what obstacles come, there is most often a way out on the other side, and we are once again victorious. My name is Dr. Rowe, and you are listening to my podcast about resilience. Every guest shares a tragedy to triumph story to give listeners like you the inspiration to push through every single day. Listen now as my next guest shares how they were life-jacked.
Hi, Phillip. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. How are you?
For having me, Dr. Rowe. I'm doing really great with an amazing introduction that you gave me. So I'm ready to add some value to your podcast and add some value to your audience. So I'm excited for this.
Awesome. And yes, I think it's going to be a great conversation. So again, thank you for joining us. And let's start with your foundational years, right? Mm-hmm. So for those that do not know you, how did your mother's sacrifices shape your perspective on resilience and personal growth?
So I do come from a single mom. I had an older mom growing up, so my mom had me around 36, 37. And so there was a difference in being brought up and being raised. And with her getting her high school diploma in the U.S. Virgin Islands, to then come into the United States in order to get her undergraduate degree, her bachelor's, at Berry College, and then pursuing another degree, getting her master's at Georgia State University, it really shaped just a mother taking full advantage of her brilliance of being an educated person, pursuing that to the second most highest degree that you possibly can in academic performance, and then knowing that she wanted to have me and she wanted to provide for me, there's no doubt that I have experienced unconditional love with a person. And that just comes with somebody deciding that something is bigger than themselves. It didn't matter how tired she was. I remember growing up, she was working 2 jobs that she never complained about. It was in education. So she's been in education for 30 years in different facets. But it was always fun to be either on a campus or at an office because her bosses enjoyed me. We always did sports and hung out at the park. She just always treated me like a prince. She has shown me what unconditional love looks like. And she has never, even in my interpretation of looking back, has never complained about anything, from anything physical to financial situations to just complaining about life in general. She has only showed me the positives of life. She has shown me what sacrifice is. She has shown me what work ethic is, and to do that in service of another human being in that experience. Not only because I'm her child, but I noticed that in different facets of her life too, being a friend, being a coworker. She also teaches at high school, so seeing that with her students, she just does that in many different facets of her life. And so that is just showing how much she has been dedicated to people, and I'm glad that I've gotten most of that in my experience so far with her since I've been here.
Well, Phillip, I love to hear stories like that because I'm also a single mom and I have 3 sons.
Yeah.
And, there's always a stigma that's tied to a single parent raising, male children or raising young men. But it sounds like just your mom she fought against that stereotype that, that women cannot raise men. And it's that stereotypical, a mother can't lay the law down and can't have boundaries and all of that, because of course, that's out there. But I always feel like, no, we can provide both sides to our sons, and we can provide the structure and guidance and also the emotional caring aspects as well. Not saying that not having a father in their lives and of course or a father figure is not important, but you're showing that through your mother's work that it is possible to raise a young man and he be a productive citizen in this society. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. So now here we go. So personal romantic relationships, right? So clearly it is a challenging entity. And we know this from all of the thousands of dating coaches on Facebook and YouTube, all of that, right?
Right.
And of course, you've gone through your own trials and tribulations when it comes to dating. So have I.
For sure. It's there.
Right. But for you, what do you think was the pivotal moment when you realized that certain setbacks were testing your resilience when it came to relationships?
When it comes to resilience, even when I'm working with clients, either in a therapeutic perspective or a coaching and consulting perspective, the resilience doesn't happen until you get through what you are going through. It's more of a reflection of the circumstances and choices that you made, whether those are choices that you have to take accountability for, or those are circumstances that were bestowed upon you. The resilience doesn't come until after that fact. So, yeah, you're getting through it, whatever circumstance may be positive, it may be negative, but what I have personally experienced when it comes to my resilience is that I can look back and think of myself very objectively. I can look at myself and say, okay, if we were to make a list about how Phillip experienced this type of relationship, especially romantically, what things did he like and what things did he do really well and what things could he improve on that he did not like that he experienced. And when you take your own personal feelings out of it, you look at it from an outside perspective, almost kind of like looking down at yourself. You look and say, okay, I could not have changed anything that I was supposed to experience. And I know those things were painful when they were. I know those things, maybe some of those things should or should not have happened, but they happened. And so now that I look at it, I can say, okay, I'm a better man for this. I'm a better person for this. I've been on the right side of being in an abusive relationship or experiencing a person that was not meant for me. I've been on that side, and I've done that from a non-malicious standpoint to other women, which I've reflected on myself and said I didn't want to do that either. So it's all about looking at yourself from an objective perspective, taking what you can take from that relationship that you may have and saying, how can I grow from this? And it takes accountability. It takes to be very honest with yourself and being real about things that were caused to you, but also what you caused to people. And then you build your resilience based on that to have better boundaries, to have better do's and don'ts that you want to have moving forward. And then also picture the areas that you're going to continuously grow in as you have this time on this earth. And it's going to be imperfect, but when you reflect on yourself and see where you come from, you can sit there and go, this is where I want to go in that direction. So that's where I kind of look at testing my resilience when I've been in those romantic relationships.
Now, one thing I know about humans is it's human nature to do what is comfortable, right? What we are comfortable with. We don't want to step outside of our comfort zone. And a lot of times it seems that when we run into trouble with romantic relationships, it's because we continuously pick a certain type of person that most times is not good for us, right? And that's on either side. Or we have certain habits and behaviors that are not good for other people.
Okay.
And so within that, what do you think that people can do to fight against that routine or that habit of either picking the same type of personality type or same type of person, or falling into the same habits as they're going out and dating someone, and then they find themselves doing those same things that kind of sabotage the relationship before?
Absolutely. That's a great question. What comes off the top of my head with that is you have to take accountability. You are not in a place anymore in your adult life where you don't have decisions made for you. You make these decisions. And yes, some of them may be unconscious. Yes, we're moved and we think that we're in control of our conscious to an extent. Yes, we're better than any other type of mammal out there. I mean, we're granted the ability to be conscious, but we are very much moved by our unconscious. But with that being said, when you have so much history and experience doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes a choice. And you have to look in the mirror, man or woman, and say, no, I keep choosing this type of behavior. It's not a person. It's not X first name and X, Y last name as the person. It's not the man in your city. It's not the woman with a certain type of degree. It's not a certain height. It's not a certain race. It is your choices that you have to be accountable for, that you keep experiencing. Now, with that being said, once you're able to say, I want to make a change, like you said, change is extremely uncomfortable. That's literally my job. If I were to summarize it in one sentence, my job as a therapist and coach is to process change, because change is so uncomfortable. But with my type of approach, I do make you accountable for your choices. That is a part of it. Now, going forward, I can say, okay, now that you are accountable for this and you want to move forward, what do we have to implement in order for you to change for the better of yourself and for other people? Because sometimes the problem was you. Sometimes the problem was your choice of how you interacted with that person. And if you don't have somebody or have an environment that makes you accountable for those interactions, you never have to change. If you're the one always blaming other people, or you're the one always leaving or victimizing yourself, you are never going to change. So yes, you are drawn to certain behaviors that tie you into that. And that can be from the unconscious, dealing with parent roles. That can be through your style of attachment. That could be through your personality. But part of that are the choices that you make. And now you can have to sit there and say, okay, let me make the opposite of this choice. And it's going to be uncomfortable. It is going to be challenging. You are going to have to change. Stop expecting for you to meet somebody that just fits a mold for you. No, being a part of a relationship means that you are going to change. You have to change in order to accompany another human being, no matter what type of relationship it is, but especially romantically. You're putting lives together. You're creating life together. You're going to have to change. So there are things that you're going to have to be accountable for. But if you don't want to change, then keep choosing the same thing over and over. But as far as the definition of what a fool is, that's to me the clearest definition.
And that's what they say. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. I love that you said that about accountability, that you do have to take accountability for your choices. And I think that's where the resilience lies within relationships. And now that I've taken accountability for the choice in the types of people that I decide to date, and right away I'm able to spot, like, nope, that's not the person that I want to date.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm able to kind of end the relationship, and then I go on to the next one. But, the funny thing is people say, well, don't you think you need to wait a little bit before you go to the next relationship? And I say no. But I think it's because I have that resilience now, because I'm recognizing in the person previously, like, no, that person wasn't for me. So there's no love lost there, because I realized I'm making a conscious choice, like you said, that this person is not good for me. This person is not going to work well for me. And so I'm resilient because I'm able to bounce back and move on because I'm not going to take it personal anymore because I'm making a conscious choice and decision that this person is not for me.
Right. And it's how it affects you, because when you look at it, you go, it's not a judgment of these people. These people can be good people. It's just the fact of I know as the person that has been through something, I react this way. I respond this way. My thoughts take me here when I see this story or this sequel again. And so you're not denying that person. You're just denying that those things don't cause you the positive experience enough for you to conjoin them. And that has no timeline. That's learning yourself. That's training your mind that then responds to your feelings and your behaviors. And you can do that as quickly as you want because we all have different temperaments. We can all go through the same traumatic or bad person or bad qualities, and it's different for everybody else. Some people take years. Some people are very high conscientious and learn really quickly. I think I would put myself in that category. Like I can really reflect really quickly because I train myself to do that, and I have good people around me to do that. So I can, I'm not saying that it's going to be tomorrow, but it doesn't require as much. So I think from the mental health standpoint to even a dating standpoint, everybody's temperament is different. So if yours is quicker, there shouldn't be a judgment on that.
No, absolutely. Now, you mentioned that we should give ourselves grace, right, as we're overcoming our setbacks, which I love that because we aren't always going to make the best decision. We aren't always going to make the best choice. Mm-hmm. And so we do have to realize we're human and to give ourselves grace, kind of forgive ourselves, right? So when you're working with your client,
yes,
how do you help them within your practice as a therapist and a coach? How do you help them, understand that it's okay and even how to give themselves grace? How do we do that?
It's a great question. We have to start looking at the world in a gray perspective. So, especially when I'm working in therapy or as a coach, it doesn't matter. We have cognitive distortions. And one of those distortions that is very common, especially in an individualistic culture. Collectivistic culture is very different, but in an individualistic culture like America or the Western society, you have a black and white thinking. It's either yes or no, it is, it isn't, it was wrong or right, it was correct, incorrect, you pass, fail, you win, you lose. There's so much black and white perspective of life that you have been programmed socially, that you have been programmed to ingest. And what I do is that I take all of those situations, all of those statements, all of those things you feel about others and yourself, and we say, okay, well, that's probably not helpful for us because it's causing you to be some type of way. So how do we combine those two colors together where it wasn't a yes or a no or incorrect or right or incorrect or correct? How do we look in the middle? Well, I tried my best. I gave my best effort here. I can do it better next time. Next time is going to happen. Like that's another thing I warn people about too, is that it is going to happen. Life has a wisdom to itself and an experience to test you. And if you find the test, and if you pass it, it won't be harder, but it's going to come harder and it's going to involve a lot more liability as you continue to not pass that experience of how you respond to it. So I sit people down and say, okay, what was the middle ground within this? How do you look at it and go, I did the best that I could, and this is where I improved. When you get clients to be like that, they really do have a lot more grace with themselves. Because now you can go in a situation saying, hey, if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I made the right choice, I make the right choice. But sometimes it's kind of like taking a test where it's like you had A, B, C, or D, and you had 100 questions and you got an 85 out of the 100. Well, everybody focuses on the 15 questions that they got wrong. But it's like, no, like at that time, you can look back and say, that question did trick me a little bit. I can see why that wasn't the answer. But you don't have to say, damn, I'm a failure. That didn't work out. That wasn't going to do it. I'm stupid. I'm not worth anything. I can't be loved, and I always make mistakes. And I no, it's like you still passed your test. You passed your test, and it's okay because this is not your stop. This is not your stop. So give yourself some patience that when you take these situations, you look at them objectively, you find the middle ground in them, you can say, okay, in the big picture, I'm doing okay. But if I narrow my focus down to what I did wrong and what makes me upset and what makes me anxious and fearful and triggers me, you're going to keep reinforcing that belief onto yourself. And it's going to cause you stress. And it's not helpful as you try to grow. So I kind of reel you back in and I say, no, you're going too far ahead of yourself. We're trying to run a marathon. We're not trying to sprint. So let's take our time. It's okay to take your time, digest what we need to digest, so that way you can feel a little bit better. When you start to feel a little bit better, you start to do a little bit better. So that's how I try to help people have some grace and some patience with themselves when they're not getting it as they thought they would, or they're not experiencing as they thought they would.
Now, I understand that resilience is often, like you said, it's a process of reflection and growth, right? You have your clients reflect on past practices, past events, past trauma, and we talk about the growth process with them. So what about your clients that, okay, they've made a conscious decision to make a change. Okay, I'm going to now go in a different direction, and I am going to lead my life in this particular way. I'm going to break the cycles. I'm not going to give in to external factors that I've given into before that have caused me pain. But what can they do to ensure that they don't go backwards? Because I know that happens a lot of times, right? Is that, okay, you make a conscious decision, you're going to change, you're all excited, and you're going a little bit, and then all of a sudden you find yourself working your way back, and now you're in the same position again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I believe that the way that I practice is being realistic with people about, hey, this process of change is a cycle. And sometimes it goes forward, sometimes it's ready, sometimes it's not. In therapy or in coaching, we have an arsenal of the stages of change, the actual measures of human beings changing. And there are five stages that I think anybody can apply to any aspect of their life. You have pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. In your areas of life, in some areas, you might be doing an actionable thing. You might be fine, you're not experiencing something negative, nothing you really want to change. But in other areas, it might be pre-contemplating. It's not really on your mind. It's not really a big deal. Nothing's really affecting you. But contemplating is like, no, I don't like what I'm experiencing. I'm experiencing the same thing. Maybe something needs to change. So when I take on clients, most of the time, if you come to my office, you're probably between that contemplation and preparation stage. But we stay in that contemplation stage a lot. What are we thinking about? What are you running away from? What do you want to change? What has happened to you that brought you here? And then when we get comfortable with getting enough information, we start to picture and start to plant those seeds of what would that look like if we made this change? What would that look like if you start to eat better? What would it feel like if you start to come home without any type of anxiousness of how you're going to behave with your spouse? What would it look like if you start to exercise? How do you think you would feel about yourself? What could be the benefit of this? And then also, what would happen if we stay the same? That's another question you have to ask yourself. What would happen if I don't make a change? Well, I'll be unhealthy. I'll be financially irresponsible. My spouse may leave me, or I may continue to experience anxiousness. My sleep will be messed up. My health will decline. Just a lot could happen. So it's a combination of picturing where you can go, what you're contemplating on, and then what would happen if you don't make a change. That's what I try to really help clients think about when they're reverting back to old ways. Yes, we know that they're comfortable for you. You know it's familiar. You know how that feels. And I'm preparing you to feel that it's okay to hurt. You need to do this while you are hurt. You have to do this when you're anxious. You have to do this when you're not a master at this yet. You have to do this with somebody walking with you metaphorically with your hand until it's like a bike. Like until you're done with a tricycle, now when you're on the two wheeler, I gotta let you go at some point, and I like I said, keep pedaling, keep pedaling, keep pedaling. I don't care if you fall off. You just need to get to that point. So it's okay that we may revert back. It's okay that you're gonna go back to what's familiar. That may happen in the process. One day we might have a session and you say, Philip, I took action. I tried the new thing that we talked about. I liked it. Cool. Let's do more of that. Or Philip, I tried and I went back. Okay, like that's fine. But how is it going back? What didn't you like? We're gonna try it again. We're not trying to stay there. So it's okay that you're going from a contemplation to a preparation to an action stage all the time in different facets of your life. We're trying to get you to the more action stage, which is where the more change happens. And once you start to feel and see that improvement, most people can see the benefit of that and hopefully implement that going forward so they don't end up back in those beginning stages of change.
Wow. I love that. Listeners, I hope you heard that the 5-step process of change is the
Yes.
pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and then maintenance.
Yes, ma'am.
That maintenance part,
Yep. Uh-huh.
I feel like that's probably a step that people skip. Like they go through all of those, but then they forget about that ending, that maintenance.
Yeah.
And like you said, that maintenance part, that's what's going to keep you from reverting back because you've got to have a plan to,
Yes.
to maintain this new normal that you're about to have. Why do you think it's difficult for people to do that maintenance part?
I think if any stage that you've tried something new, you can't see the benefit of doing it until after you have done it. And you can do that from an academic standpoint, like, hey man, I remember learning my times tables and that thing was crazy. And I'm great at math and science, obviously, but learning it was like hard. But like, okay, one was easy, like one is the times whatever. And then I remember 9, I had a tip that my mom learned that she taught me that you could move your fingers. So it's if it's 9 times 6, you just put down the 6th finger and then it's 54. So you learn little tricks, but that was hard at that point. And then now when I'm in 12th grade or college, I'm doing calculus and trigonometry and those type of things. So and then again, the bicycle analogy that when you started, you weren't riding a two-wheeler. Some people may have just gotten right away. I highly doubt that. Dunking a basketball, I'm an athlete, so even dunking a basketball, like, bro, you start with the net, then the backboard, then you touch the rim, you try to dunk a tennis ball, and then there's that one day that, like, bro, you graze the rim with the ball, and you're like, bro, I'm not leaving until I get this because I know I got it. So no matter what stage you're in, it could be relationships, it could be dating, it could be academics, it could be professional performance, no matter what, you were never a master to start out with. This is a learning experience throughout life. And it's okay to give yourself grace. And so sometimes I even sit down with clients and tell them, what are you not good at? And let's go try what you're not good at. Like, I want you to know what it feels like to not be good at something. And so I give an example and I self-disclose like, hey, I can't skate. Bro, I cannot skate. Like, I can swim, jump, sprint, dunk, hit a base, all that type of stuff. You cannot skate. So how can an athlete that is performing in every other area can't skate? And then a little girl is 5 years old going la 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 and having the time of her life, and I'm over here busting my cakes on the floor. So it's okay that anything that is new is going to hurt. It is going to be painful. It is going to be challenging. It is going to come with its own stepping stones, no matter what it is. But you have to sit there and say, if I don't make this change, maybe I don't know what experience is going to be like. Maybe I don't live with regrets, and I wasn't learning to live with regrets, but I have the time to look back and say, I would have tried that at this point in time. And what do you have to lose? You are already not good at it. So at least if you try it, there's an opportunity that you could experience a little bit better than not trying it at all. So but give yourself some patience and actually look at yourself. I'm good at what I'm good at, but I'm not as good as this area, and I'm really bad at this. There's nothing wrong with that. Give yourself the ability to experience that, hey, I need to be taught this. And that is okay that I'm learning it at this point in time. Some people learn how to be in relationships after they're done with their whole phase. You have some people that learn how to financially invest at 40. You have some people that start to work out at 50. Like, bro, there's a lot of changes that could happen that you can benefit from, but you're going to have to learn the fundamentals. And it's okay to be able to do that. So give yourself some grace with that.
No, I love all of that. Yeah, I feel like for me, I'm in that space also. And for this year, like I've just decided to do a lot of changing. Like I joined the gym so that I can be more intentional about my, physical transformation. And I, joined a new church for spiritual change. I was doing the whole YouTube church.
Nice. Awesome. That's
right?
Awesome. Yeah.
I just started recognizing as I've been coaching my clients in resilience, and I was just like, if I'm looking for this great partner, right? My forever, finally find my forever partner in marriage. And, but then I said, but am I myself the optimal partner? And I really had to look at myself right in the mirror, which is hard,
yeah,
right? Because you said, you got to look in the mirror and be like, okay, wait a minute.
Am I the person that the person I'm looking for is looking for?
Right. And so same thing financially, I had to really go through all these steps, and same thing. And I can tell you that I went through that. I didn't know that was the 5-step process for change, but I went through it too. But I know I spent a long time in that pre-contemplation. I desired some of these changes, but I really wasn't doing anything about them. But 2025 is really showing out for me right now.
No, I think you're doing, Doc, for sure. I'm happy that you are growing in the physical sense. I tell that to people all the time. I've been personally training for over a decade now too, and I tell my clients, even in therapy, look, if I did talk therapy with you, you can get 30% better. And we'll work with every type of diagnosis that we're going to work with and improve that. But I'm also saying we can get to 40 to 50% if you start to be active. You will understand that we're meant to move, and it'll help with every single aspect of your life. There are things that aren't guaranteed in life when it comes to results of anything, but there is a guaranteed, and that there is not a negative connotation that you can be associated with being physically active. And so I'm glad you made that change for yourself, and you start to prepare yourself, and then you took action. And I'm glad you did that spiritually as well by joining a different type of church for yourself to help yourself grow spiritually. So I think other people can learn from that.
No, absolutely. Well, oh my gosh, Phillip, I can't even believe that it's time for this conversation to end, because it's been such a great conversation. But before we go, I just have to ask you, so in your opinion, what do you believe are the best ways to build resilience?
Oh, the best ways to be resilient. I would say audit your temperament. Everybody's temperament is different. Everybody's threshold is different. And there may be things that affect you more than others. Some people are more emotionally inclined. Some people are more logical. Some people are more adventurous and spontaneous. And some people are more reserved and like familiarity and structure and knowing what they like to experience. So I say that because being more of what you're not is not authentic. And so be authentic to yourself. If you are quiet and reserved and kind of stoic and introverted, then be that way. If you're more extroverted and outgoing and assertive and social, be that way. And so that comes with knowing that whatever happens in your life, whether it's by choice or unfortunate scene circumstances, you are knowing what you can handle. And if you put yourself in situations where you know that you weren't supposed to be in because you really truly didn't want to, it makes the resilience a lot harder to deal with, obviously, because that's not what you would normally deal with. So, to make yourself more resilient, I would say audit yourself in any facet of life, see what stage of change you are and how you are doing in that aspect physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, all of those things, and then determine for yourself what I can handle and what I can't, and then move based on that. And it's okay that it may not happen right away for whatever you're trying to seek, but you're going to be able to build up a threshold for yourself that creates an environment that makes you extremely adaptable. So that when something happens, because life happens, you're able to handle it better. But then also give yourself grace to acknowledge, hey, this did hurt. This is challenging, and I'm still getting through it because I'm either supposed to, and there's another light at the end of the tunnel, or that it's going to teach me regardless so I don't make the same or put myself in the same circumstance again. So that's what I would say to help somebody increase their resilience in their life.
Well, you heard it, folks. Audit your temperament. I ask this question at the end of every interview, but that is the first time that I've had anyone say that it is important to audit your temperament. I love that. I love that so much. Well, thank you, Phillip, for sharing your journey of grace, resilience, and personal growth with us today. Your story is a powerful reminder that resilience is forged within us as we navigate life's ups and downs and reflect upon those experiences. Your work with PQ coaching and consulting acts as a beacon of hope and strength for many seeking to grow from their trials. So, how can listeners find and connect with you?
You can connect with me at pqcoachingandconsulting.com. All of my books, courses, and contact information is on there. So if you inquire, I would love to speak with you and see where I can help.
Awesome. Do you have any last words of encouragement for the listeners?
Absolutely. So when it comes to this resilience in your life, nobody was you, nobody is you, and nobody will ever be you. So if you're not experiencing the life that you know that you can have for yourself, then I would say to you that you can take a change. You can take action to make a life better for you because nobody else, including myself, can experience that for you. So if you don't like it, you need to be able to make a change. Whatever you're pre-contemplating on, it's okay. It may be challenging, but you'll be better off for it. So nobody was you, nobody is you, and nobody will ever be you. So take full advantage of that throughout this experience of life.
Wow. Phillip, thank you again. I want to wish you and your family nothing but blessings and abundance for this coming year. Please take care.
Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you for having me.
Phillip Quinones, everyone. Be sure to join me next time for more uplifting stories and insights on resilience. Until then, keep pushing forward, embrace the journey, and remember that every setback can lead to a greater comeback. Dr. Rowe, signing off.